Hello my friends. What I'm going to share with you today is one of my favorite soups, and that is butternut soup. And what I'm going to do is use the butternut that I had preserved. Now if you don't know what butternut looks like, it's a squash and it looks like this. And right here is roughly 3 pounds of butternut squash, and this is what the recipe will call for. Okay, what I've been doing is taking my butternut squash, drying it and converting it into powder for storage, and I'm storing it in mason jars with silicone desiccant in there, and processed this way it should keep for a dozen or more years. And it's very concentrated. Right here, what you're looking at, these 4 jars, this is 1 bushel of butternut squash. So the butternut squash right here, it's a little more than a half of a cup. This is what's going to be used in the recipe. That will equal 2 of these. Now, if you had ever made a butternut soup before, it takes about an hour to prep and cook the butternut before you even make the soup. So this method of processing and storing the butternut as a flour takes an hour of your time off of your cooking. Starting with a large saucepan, I'm adding olive oil, and you want about 2 tablespoons, and I'm using organic from California. And this isn't required, but I'm also adding some walnut oil. Walnut oil is supposed to lower your cholesterol. And we want about 2 tablespoons of butter. Everything tastes better with butter. And then about a half a cup of onions. And this is chopped. And we let that cook for a bit. You want to cook the onions till they're translucent, but you don't want to burn them or caramelize them. So just till they're clear and soft. Now you want to start adding spices, and here we have a teaspoon of cinnamon, and you want to put the spices in with the oil so that the oils from the spices will mix and it'll saturate the soup. Then we have a teaspoon of ginger, teaspoon of cardamom, then I have about a half a teaspoon of salt. I usually go light. This is sea salt. Let that cook a minute or 2. Then we're adding about a tablespoon of honey. This is 2-year-old. It's from my bees. It's starting to crystallize. Nice heaping teaspoon of honey. And the soup base is a vegetable broth, about 32 ounces. And the base to the soup is the 3 pounds of butternut squash, which in this case is our flour. And you don't want to add the desiccant in there. And this would need about 1/2 cup of flour. This is slightly more. I'm just going to empty the jar in it. I want to get every bit of it out of there. And then this soup, I do not like texture of the onions. So if you have one of these or a food processor, this is what I use. This will also help mix up the butternut squash. Now, because we're using powder in here, you have to add about 2 cups of water to resaturate or reconstitute the powder, and it'll give you a better consistency. And then you need to cook this for about 20 minutes to soften up and give the powder time to reconstitute. This is cooked maybe 20 minutes, and I just turned it off. Now we're going to give it a taste as soon as this cools down. Here's the soup, and this is thickened just from the butternut, and I thinned it with 2 cups of water, or else it would be really thick. You could also just add additional vegetable stock to that instead of water, but we don't want to disguise the flavor of the butternut. Well, I'm ready to give this a taste. It seems to have cooled down enough. Let me describe what I have here. First of all, I get a definite sweetness, and I don't know if that's coming from the honey that I put in there, or I think it's probably the squash, because I only used 1 heaping tablespoon of honey. I also get a hint of that cardamom that's in there, a little bit of the cinnamon, but I think I could have added a little more of ginger. I don't get enough of that little bit of a heat from the ginger. So maybe my next batch I'll kick it up with some ginger. This is the beginning of fall, and when I woke up this morning we had frost on the ground. Looked out the window, everything looked white. So I don't think it was a killing frost for everything. Some of my plants still look okay, but I've been pulling in a lot of the vegetables, so my counter's filled with vegetables. The tomatoes, you could see they're all wilted, so I grabbed the green ones. They didn't get hit too bad. They're still usable. So this has the little bit of a pumpkin spice to it, maybe, but it's perfect for fall weather. This is a great soup. A great one for backpacking too, because you can take your powdered butternut squash with you. You can put them in Ziploc bags. Already have all the dry ingredients mixed together, and it'll be a real quick mix. So in summary, cooking this from the powder probably saves you an hour of cooking time and prep time. It was so easy. You just mix dry ingredients and the oils. The biggest step was dicing an onion, and we used about 1/2 cup of onion with this, and that was the time-consuming part, other than letting it sit and simmer for about 20 minutes. Well, thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.